Today's topic is morphology and structure of bacteria. In this topic, you are going to learn the size of bacteria, the microscopy, the staining techniques, the shape of bacteria, the bacterial anatomy, the cell wall, cytoplasmic membrane and cytoplasm, ribosomes, mesosomes, intracytoplasmic inclusions, nucleus, slime layer or capsule, and flagella and fimbria, spore and L forms. These are the various things you are going to learn in today's topic. Of all the things, the important one is the structure, bacterial anatomy. In this, the important point is the cell wall, bacterial cell wall, related to gram-positive cell wall and gram-negative cell wall. The next important one is the flagella, the various types of flagella and the structure of flagella. Next important one is the spore. So various characters of the spore, which is also next important thing. So microorganisms cannot be observed by naked eye because of their small size. The microorganisms classified under kingdom Protista. In this Protista, you have got two groups. The one group is the prokaryotes and the another group is the eukaryotes. In the prokaryotes, the bacteria and blue-green algae organisms come, whereas in eukaryotes, fungi, other algae, slime molds and protozoa comes under eukaryotes. Now come to the differences between the prokaryotes and eukaryotes related to nucleus. The nuclear membrane and nucleolus is absent in prokaryotes, whereas nuclear membrane and nucleus is present in eukaryotes. Related to DNA also, DNA is absent in prokaryotes and DNA is present in eukaryotes. Chromosome is present in prokaryotes, which is one circular chromosome, whereas in eukaryotes you will see more than one chromosome, which is in linear pattern. Mitotic division is absent in prokaryotes and mitotic division is present in eukaryotes. The next difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes related to cytoplasm. So the cytoplasmic stream is absent in prokaryotes, it is present in eukaryotes. Pinocytosis is absent in prokaryotes and it is present in eukaryotes. Mitochondria are absent in prokaryotes, but these are present in eukaryotes. Lysosomes are absent in prokaryotes but present in eukaryotes. Golgi apparatus are absent in prokaryotes but are present in eukaryotes. Endoplasmic reticulum is absent in prokaryotes but present in eukaryotes. The next difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes related to chemical composition. Sterols are absent in prokaryotes but sterols are present in eukaryotes. Muramic acid is present in prokaryotes but this muramic acid is absent in eukaryotes. Now come to the size of the bacteria. So the unit for measurement of bacteria is the micron or micrometer. What is micrometer or micron? It is nothing but the 1000 of a millimeter. The most bacterial size is 0.2 to 1.5 micrometers in size. Some bacteria are in nanometer size. What is nanometer? Nanometer is nothing but 1000 of a micron or 1 millionth of a millimeter. The next unit is the angstrom unit. The angstrom unit is 1/10 of nanometers. So man resolution power is 200 microns. So he cannot see the objects unless he required magnification by microscopy. So in this picture you can carefully see the right side is the optical light microscopy. In the middle you will see the light pathway, how to magnify these objects. In the left side you will see the completely magnified image. Now come to the right side, various parts of this optical or light microscope. The, the top part, that is ocular lens. Below that you will see the oil immersion objective lens. Next you will see the specimen on the slide. Next part is the immersion oil over the slide. The next part is the stage where you will keep the slide. Next part is the condenser lens where the light is condensed and focused on the slide, and the lower one is the light source where you will get the light for focusing on the slide. In the middle part you will see the principle of the optical light microscope. The light source, which is yellow arrow, is allowed to pass to the condenser lens, and this condenser lens light passes to the specimen. From this specimen the light passes through objective lens, and after passing through the objective lens again it passes through the ocular lens, and finally you can see with your eye. So this is the principle where the light is allowed to pass through the condenser lens, thereby from there to specimen, and then by objective lens, and finally ocular lens to see with your naked eye. So in this principles the object is magnified. So in the left side you will see the small specimen which is not able to see with naked eye. After magnifications you will see the magnified image in the form of various bacteria. So after the light microscope, next microscope is the phase contrast microscope. So in this phase contrast microscope there is a improved contrast. So in phase contrast microscope you have got various structures within the cell. So these structures within the cells have got different thickness or refractive index. So in such internal structures are identified by this phase contrast microscope. The principle in this phase contrast microscope is phase differences converted into differences in intensity of light, so which produce light and dark contrast in image. So in this way you can identify the internal structures more clearly within the bacterial cell. The next microscope is the fluorescent microscope. In this fluorescent microscope, organisms and their specimens can be stained with fluorescent dye. After staining with fluorescent dye, these are exposed to exciting light. Organisms are usually detected by the emission of fluorescent light by the dye with which they have been stained. So in dark ground microscope, reflected light is used instead of transmitted light. We use dark field condenser with condenser circular stop which illuminate the object with a cone of light. The objects which are seen with dark ground microscope are the slender organisms. The examples are the spirochetes are seen in dark ground microscope. So in this picture you can see the principle of the dark ground microscope. The light is taken and this light is allowed to pass through the condenser line, and this light is after passing to the condenser lens which is having the dark field ring that is focused onto the specimen. After focusing to the specimens, the light which strikes the specimen will pass through this objective lens, and we can see the objectives with this dark ground microscope. The principle involved is nothing but the using the condenser lens allowed to pass the light and the specimen. There is a dissociation of the light. The light which strikes the object will pass through the objective lens. From this objective lens you can see the objectives. The objectives which are seen with dark ground microscope are the very slender organisms. Examples are the spirochetes, best example of the syphilis organism. The next microscope we will use is the electron microscope. The principle in electron microscope is we are using the beam of electrons instead of beam of light. We are not using the light, but we are using the beam of electrons. So in electron microscope, the electron beam is focused by circular electromagnets. So these circular electromagnets are analogous to lens in light microscope. Objects held in the path of electron beam and produces the image which is focused on screen. So now come to the stainings. So the stainings are used for artificial coloring of the cells. So we have to identify the bacteria by putting certain artificial colors. So the stains may be the simple stains, differential stain, special stain, negative stain. So the simple staining is best example is the methylene blue. We'll use methylene blue and dilute carbonyl fusion in simple staining. Only one dye is used in simple stain, either methylene blue or dilute carbonyl fusion. So in the differential stain, we'll use the number of dyes, so it can give the contrast. So the differential stains examples are the Gram stain and acid fast stain. Next stain is the special stain. So the special stains, that is Albert stain and Fontana stains. So these are used to identify certain structures in the bacteria. That is, example in Corynebacterium diphtheria, you have to identify the volatile granules. So these granules which are present in this Corynebacterium are required a special stain, that is Albert stain. So negative stains. So the negative stains are used to demonstrate the spirochetes, and you can demonstrate the capsule of the organisms by using the negative staining. Now come to the shape of bacteria. The cocci are spherical or oval in shape, bacilli are rod shaped, vibrios are coma shaped, spiral or spiral shaped, spirochetes are coil shaped, and actinomycetes, they are branched filaments, and the mycoplasma, naturally cell wall deficient bacteria. So in this picture you will see the spherical or oval cells. So these spherical or oval cells are nothing but the cocci. So you will see the cells are in the form of chains, which is suggestive of streptococci. Some of the cells are in the form of groups or clusters. The example is the staphylococci. In staphylococci you will see the cocci are arranged in clusters or groups, whereas in streptococci, cocci are arranged in chains. So in this picture you will see the vibrio organisms which are in the form of coma shaped. So in this picture you are seeing the spiral shaped organisms. The spiral shaped organisms are the spirillum. So this picture you are able to see the coiled organisms. So the organisms are in the shape of coils. So the example for this coil appearance organisms are the spirochetes, various spirochetes, which includes the Trypnema pallidum, which causes the syphilis. So after the bacterial shapes, the next property related to the arrangement of the bacteria. So in some organisms, the daughter cell fail to separate from the parent cell after cell division. So the arrangement of the cocci, so they may be in the form of clusters. The cocci may be in the form of chains. The cocci may be in the form of pairs. The cocci may be in the form of groups of 4 or in the group of 8. So the cluster organisms example is the staphylococci. Chains forming organisms example is the streptococci. Paired organisms also called as diplococci. Example is the pneumococci and meningococci. Now come to the arrangement of the bacilli. So bacilli can arrange in chains. So examples are the bamboo stick appearance. So this type of bamboo stick appearance is seen in Bacillus anthrax. The next bacilli arrangement is the Chinese letter pattern. So some bacilli arranged in Chinese letter pattern. The example for this Chinese letter pattern arranged bacilli is the Corynebacterium diphtheria. So this is the cluster arrangement of Staphylococci. In this picture you can see the cluster arrangement of Staphylococci, or they are in the form of groups. Staphylococci are in the form of groups or clusters. So this is the one type of arrangement which is exhibited by Staphylococci. Now come to the various parts of the bacterial cell. So bacterial cell comprises of cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm and appendages. So now come to the anatomy of the bacterial cell wall. The composition of the bacterial cell wall is it composed of peptidoglycan, murin. In this peptidoglycan you have got N-acetyl glucosamine and N-acetyl muramic acid. These both chemicals are linked together by tetrapeptide side chains. So in this slide you will see the peptidoglycan, the composition of the cell wall, which is having the molecules that is N-acetyl muramic acid and N-acetyl glucosamine. These molecules, that is N-acetyl muramic acid and N-acetyl glucosamine, these are alternatively arranged in the peptidoglycan layer, and these two molecules are held together by the peptide bridge. So within this peptide bridge, various antibiotics will act to develop the antibiotic resistance. Now come to the types of the bacterial cell wall. So based on the Gram staining, you have got two types of bacterial cell wall. So the bacterial first one is the Gram positive bacterial cell wall and Gram negative bacterial cell wall. Now come to the Gram positive bacterial cell wall. So along with peptidoglycan layer, Gram positive organisms cell wall also possess teichoic acid. The amount of peptidoglycan is more in Gram positive cell wall. Now come to the Gram negative cell wall features. So the amount of peptidoglycan is less in Gram negative cell wall, and Gram negative cell wall possess outer membrane and periplasmic space, and this gram-negative organism cell walls also contain lipid content which is high, and this gram-negative cell wall having the variety of amino acids which are present in the cell wall, and this gram-negative cell wall also possesses the lipopolysaccharide, that is LPS, which is a endotoxin. So in this picture you can able to differentiate between gram positive and gram negative cell wall. The right side is the gram positive cell wall, whereas left side is the gram negative cell wall. So if you observe carefully, starts with the peptidoglycan. The peptidoglycan is more in gram positive organisms, whereas peptidoglycan is less in case of gram negative organisms. So in gram negative organisms, in addition to peptidoglycan, it also possesses the lipopolysaccharides. So in this lipopolysaccharides, we have got outer membrane, lipid A, and various porins, proteins, and various components which are present in the lipopolysaccharide. The main difference is the thickness of the peptidoglycan is more in case of gram-positive organisms, whereas it is less in case of gram-negative organisms. And lipopolysaccharide is present in gram-negative organisms, whereas it is absent in gram-positive organisms. Other difference is presence of teichoic acid is present in gram-positive organisms, whereas teichoic acid is absent in gram-negative organisms. The differences between gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. The first property is related to the thickness. So thickness in reference to peptidoglycan. The peptidoglycan is thicker in gram-positive bacteria, whereas it is thinner in gram-negative bacteria. The next property is the presence of variety of amino acids. So there are very few variety of amino acids in gram-positive organisms, whereas you will see several varieties of amino acids in gram-negative bacteria. Next difference is lipopolysaccharide and outer membrane. The lipopolysaccharide and outer membrane is absent in gram-positive organisms, whereas it is present in gram-negative organisms. The teichoic acid is present in gram-positive organisms, whereas teichoic acid is absent in gram-negative organisms. Aromatic and sulfur-containing amino acids are absent in gram-positive organisms, whereas these are present in gram-negative organisms. The lipopolysaccharide, which is present in gram-negative organisms, have got three portions. One is the lipid A component, two is the core polysaccharide, third one is the polysaccharide O antigen. So the endotoxic activity is by polysaccharide O antigen. So this leads to pyrogenicity, tissue necrosis, anti-complementary activity, B cell mitogenicity, and anti-tumor activity. The endotoxicity by the polysaccharide O antigen, which is present in the gram-negative organisms, are responsible for the pyrogenicity, tissue necrosis, anti-complementary activity, B cell mitogenicity, and anti-tumor activity. The outermost gram-negative cell wall is called the outer membrane, and it is possess porin proteins. They act as a barrier for some molecules like antibiotics, act as a specific receptors for bacteriophages. The cell wall deficiency bacteria. The cell wall synthesis can be inhibited by lysosomes. So these lysosomes act on beta 1,4 linkage of the peptidoglycan. So once this cell wall synthesis is inhibited by this lysosome or by putting into hypertonic solutions, the gram-positive organisms will change their morphology, and these gram-positive organisms are called protoplast. And the gram-negative organisms change their morphology and they form as a spiroplast. So that nothing but this protoplasts are nothing but the cell wall deficiency forms of the gram-positive organisms, whereas chloroplasts are the cell wall deficiency forms of the gram-negative organisms. So cell wall deficiency synthesis occur by the lysosomes, which acts on the beta 1,4 linkage of the peptidoglycan. So protoplasts and spiroplasts are spherical in shape, and these protoplasts and spiroplasts are responsible for the chronic infections. So what are the uses of cell wall? The cell wall maintains the characteristic shape of the bacteria and gives protection to the cell against osmotic damage, and the cell wall has got role in the cell divisions. The cell wall, the mucopeptide component of the cell wall, would possess the target sites for antibiotics, lysosomes, and bacteriophages. Now, how to demonstrate the cell wall? Cell wall can be demonstrated one by plasmolysis, another by microdissection, next by reaction with specific antibody, next by mechanical rupture of cell, next by differential staining. So you can also demonstrate the cell wall by electron microscopy. The next parts of the bacterial components is the ribosomes. So these ribosomes center of the protein synthesis, that is 70S. Next component of the cytoplasm is the mesosomes. So these are folds of cytoplasmic membrane into the cytoplasm is called the mesosomes. They are the sites for respiratory enzymes. Next components of this bacterial cell is the intracytoplasmic inclusions. So this intraplasmic inclusions, the volatile or Baby's granules, which can be identified by doing the Albert stain, which are present in Corynebacterium and diphtheria, and also how the intracytoplasmic inclusions in the polysaccharides, which can be identified by iodine staining. So some lipids which are present as a intracytoplasmic inclusions, and these lipids can be identified by Sudan blot. The next structure of the bacteria is the nucleus. So one nucleus is present per cell, and no nuclear membrane or nucleolus, and the chromosome is a single molecule of double-stranded DNA arranged in the form of circle. So the demonstration of the nucleus seen by electron microscope, demonstrated by acid and ribonuclease hydrolysis, and this nucleus can also demonstrated by Fulgen stain method. Now come to the plasmids. What is plasmid? The bacteria may possess extra nuclear genetic material. So this extra nuclear genetic material is called the plasmids. Now come to the episomes. What is episomes? The episomes which joins the plasmid with the bacterial chromosome. The plasmids can confirm certain properties like drug resistance or collagen production. So the drug resistance are due to this extra nuclear genetic material, that is plasmids. plasmids plays a role for development of drug resistance and also production of quercetin. So far I have completed the anatomy of the bacteria related to the cell wall and also cytoplasm and the various mesozymes and various parts of the genetic material, that is DNA and plasmids and episomes. Now come to the bacterial appendages. So these appendages are in the form of capsule or slime layer. The appendage or the flagella. The appendages may be in the form of villi. Now come to the capsule and slime layer. So many bacteria secretes a viscid material around the cell. So when it is organized and it is well demonstrated, it is called capsule. When it is loose and unmarked demarcated secretion, it is called as slime layer. So what is the composition of the capsule or the slime layer? The chemical composition is polysaccharide in case of pneumococci and polypeptide in case of Bacillus anthracis. Now come to the uses of capsule. Capsule helps in attachment of the epithelial surface of the host to prevent the phagocytosis mechanism. So this capsule can also contribute to virulence. Once the loss of capsule by mutation result in a virulent, and capsule can also be lost when you do the subcultures. So this loss of capsule can result in the form of loss of virulence. How do you demonstrate this capsule? The capsule can be demonstrated by Quilling reaction. What is this Quilling reaction? So you will see the capsular swelling when it is treated with homologous antisera. You can also demonstrate this capsule by negative stains using the Indian ink stains. So you can also use this capsule in serological test for antigenic detection. The capsular antigen can be detected for serological test to diagnose the particular disease. So in this picture you can able to see the Streptococcus pneumonia capsule by using the negative stain. Once you apply the negative stain to this bacteria, the capsule is unstained. You can see the unstained area is the capsule. The next appendage of the bacteria is the flagella. The flagella are the organs of motions. So these are made up of protein flagellin. So this flagella has got antigenic nature, and this flagella have got three parts. The first part is filamentous part, next part is the hook part, and the other part is the basal body. So the hook and basal body is embedded in cell envelope, and the size of this flagella varies from 3 to 20 microns, and it is square tip. The tip of the flagella is the square tip manner. The flagellar antigen induce specific antibodies. So in this picture you can see the flagella, how it appears. So as I told in the previous slide, it comprises of three components. The first one is the filamentous parts, which is seen outside. Next part is the hook, and the other one is the basal body. So the basal body and hook are embedded in the cell wall. So this basal body is present in the peptidoglycan layer and periplasmic space and plasma membrane of the cell wall. Now come to the arrangement of flagella. So it is also called as flagellation. So the flagella are arranged in the form of one is the monotrichous, which is having one flagella only, and second one is the amphitrichous. The flagellum is present on either side of the bacteria. Third is Lophotrichus. So in this Lophotrichus, a tuft of flagella is present at one pole of the bacilla. And the fourth one is the Peritrichus. So in this, the flagella are present surrounding the bacilla. So in this slide, you can able to see the monotrichus. The flagella is present one end of the bacilli. Example is the Vibrio cholera. The next flagella type is the Lophotrichus, in which you will see the tuft of flagella at one pole of the bacilli. Example is the Bordetella. Next flagella type is the Amphitrichus, in which you will see tuft of flagella on either side of the bacteria. Example is the Spirillum. The next type is the Peritrichus flagella. In this Peritrichus flagella, you will see the flagella are present surrounding the body of the bacilli. So example is the Escherichia coli. So these are the various types of flagella. Now come to the demonstration of flagella. So the flagella can be demonstrated by direct method. That is flagellar staining. The flagellar staining is the Leifson stain, Rye stain. So in these styles we can able to identify the flagella. And also go for the dark ground illumination electron microscopy for demonstration of the flagella. So the next indirect methods for demonstration of the flagella is the motility demonstrated by using the hanging drop preparations. So other indirect method is the using the semi-solid agar inoculation with mannitol motility agar. You will see the darting motility if these organisms are vibrios, and you will see slow stately motility by bacillus organisms. Now come to the next structure is the fimbria or villi. So these are hair-like appendages projecting from the cell surface. So they are zero point 0.1 to 1 micrometer in length and less than 10 nanometer in breadth. They are more than flagella. They are antigenic. They consist of protein called the pilin. So now come to the types of villi. We have got 8 types of villi. The first one is based on functions. We have got common villi, and we have got sex or fertility villi. We have got the call or Carlson villi. What are the functions of the villi? Villi are not useful for the motility of the organisms. So their function is adhesion of the bacteria to the surfaces of the host, and these villi are also responsible for the transfer of the genetic material. How do we detect this fimbria? So this fimbria can be detected by using the electron microscopy, by using the hemagglutination test, by doing the D-mannose-specific inhibits hemagglutination, and we can also demonstrate the villi by antigenic properties. So in this picture you can able to see the flagella and villi. So flagella are longer size, so they may be up to 20 micrometers, whereas villi are very small size. The role of the flagella, they are responsible for the motility of the organisms, whereas the role of villi are for attachment of the bacteria to the host cells. So in this picture you can see the sex pili, which is responsible for the transfer of the genetic material from one bacterium to another bacterium. So the pili is also having the property of transfer of genetic material from one bacteria to another bacteria. So not only useful for the addition of the bacteria to the surface of the host, it has got another role, that is transfer of the genetic material from one bacteria to another bacteria. In this picture you can see the sex tube formation. With this sex tube, the or sex pili, the genetic material is transferred. The next component of this bacteria you have to know is about spores. So what are the features of the spores? The spores are highly resistant stage, and it is also resting stage. One spore is resulted from a single vegetative cell. It is not a method of reproduction. Spores are not responsible for reproduction. So when there is a depletion in the nutrients, the bacteria will change into spore formations. Bacterial spores are endospores as formed inside the bacteria. So the arrangement of spores. The spores may be the central of the bacteria, which are known as the central spores. The spores may be subterminal, that means just below the terminal part of the bacilli, and the spores may be in the terminal, that is at the terminal part of the bacilli the spore may be present. So according to the arrangement, the central spores, subterminal spores, and terminal spores. Other features of these spores includes they resist to desiccation and heat. They are destroyed by autoclaving at 120 degrees centigrade for 15 minutes. So they require high temperature for destruction. So this slide shows the diagram of the spore. What are the various parts of the spore includes the cortex. You can see the cortex in the middle of the spore, and this above this cortex you will see the inner spore coat, and below this cortex you will see the germinal cell wall, and this covering the germinal cell wall, and you will see the plasma membrane within the germinal cell wall. You have got the core, and outside you will see the outer spore coat, and you will see the exosporium outside the spore. So these are the various parts of the spore: the cortex, germinal cell wall, plasma membrane, core, exosporium, outer spore coat, inner spore coat. So if you are asked about this spore, you have to draw this spore diagram and label various parts. So in this picture you can see the position of the spore. So if it is present in the center of the bacilli, it is called as central spore. Suppose it is present at the terminal part of the bacilli, it is called as terminal spore. Suppose it is present just below the terminal part, you can say it is a subterminal spore. So these are the various spore arrangements: central spore, terminal spore, and subterminal spores. With this position of the spores, we can identify certain bacteria. Suppose it is a terminal spore which is club shaped, it is suggestive of Clostridium tetani. So now come to the demonstration of the spores. In unstained preparations, you can see the spore as a refractile bodies. So you go for the gram stain, which is as an unstained area of the spore. So other stains used for spore demonstration is the stain by the modified Gill-Nielsen staining, and you can also use the Schaefer and Fulton method for demonstration of the spore. So uses of spore. Spores of certain bacteria are employed as an indicator for sterilization. For example, Bacillus stereothermophilus. So this bacilli are used as an indicator for the sterilization. That means whether the proper sterilization has been taking place or not. You can use this Bacillus stereothermophilus bacteria. That is the one use. The next one is the spore forming bacteria. So this spore forming bacteria are the obligate aerobes. Examples is the genus Bacillus. So in this Bacillus anthrax and Bacillus subtilis. So these are the obligate aerobic spore forming bacteria. Next, obligate anaerobic spore forming bacteria includes the genus Clostridia. So the examples are the Clostridium tetani, Clostridium welshi, and Clostridium botulinum. So the pleomorphism and involution forms. Pleomorphism means there is a variation in size and shape of the bacteria. The involution forms means there is a swollen and aberrant forms in aging cultures. So this pleomorphism and involution forms are due to defective cell wall synthesis, and these may also result by the activity of autolytic enzymes. Now next one is the L forms. So the cell forms are identified by Klinberg, a scientist in the institute, that is Lister Institute in the London. So what he observed is, his observation is there is a aberrant involution forms with Streptococcus multiformis. This was seen when these organisms are grown in penicillin containing media. So the L forms seen in several species of bacteria, not only in the Streptococcus multiformis. The cell forms can also seen in several species of bacteria. So these develop spontaneously or in the presence of penicillin or other agents which interferes with the cell wall synthesis. The example of the L forms are the mycoplasma. Thank you.